out there. But if I'm honest, I hope someone tuned into my damn live. If I just want to say what's up and pop up with some content. I've been having some ideas occur to me, but I don't know. Like a lot of times, back in the day, like you had, I think like it start a channel starting to go bad when you start complaining about the very platform you're on. But like always, you'd always hear about like different forms of like banning and algorithm this and that. It's strange that like I've had done like different lives, and like some of them would be popping when I first started doing them, and like some would be more so or less. And I don't know if that's actually because of YouTube, or I had like there's like this scene in Lion King back in the day where I think like they had like Timon and Pumbaa, like the comic relief, and Pumbaa was like farting in front of the other like they're actually called like kudu. My father's from Africa, so what they're showing you on there is like some form, because like some animals are like you have like same type species, and not species but like genus and functions in an ecosystem of animals. So you have alligators in America, you have crocodiles in Africa, which are they're physically bigger than alligators, and they I think they hunt differently and they move differently, but they're nearby as ancient. One of the most ancient creatures you have is a crocodile. I think they're like an older form of reptile. They're actually living dinosaurs. I think I'd be one to say that hey, cool dinosaur. Did you know there's really still dinosaurs? Yeah, alligators and crocodiles are actually dinosaurs. But then you have like tigers would be in Asia, like India, Asia. They can be a problem for human beings, but different than in Africa. You would have leopards and lions, and in America you have mountain lions. But they all have like idiosyncrasies and differences, and they pose different threats to humans. Just actually, you could say that all of life is all of you could if you want if I had to explain if you wanted if you actually wanted the algorithm, if you wanted the solution to the internet, the solution to all activities prior to the internet, during the internet, and whatever we'll have beyond. You could even say the behavior of AI as so much as it has anything to do with human beings programming it. You could explain it in one word: leopard. Because they say that our ancestral experiences in the savannas of Africa, it's appreciated that human beings derived from Africa. We're not all human beings who have the earth, but human beings that remain, and I think the other classes who have come and went, as likely we shall. I say we like I'm this big human being, like I'm getting in with all the old ladies, and I'm doing my thing, and everybody related to me. Everybody, I'm about to have everybody baby, and I'm about to be blah 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 blah. But a lot of human beings I'm just a jackass, but human beings. I'm gonna actually stop saying this we thing, but human beings, in the vein of leopards, human beings, designate from Africa. I'm not. I would have to sim for me to say human beings come from Africa. Um, I would have to either be a dipshit not to think that, or to say that anyone would not come from Africa, or someone would have a good reason not to think that, and I would exactly look like a dipshit for saying that. But if you want to know like value, like an actual resource, if you just spend some time on the Joe Rogan podcast, any of those, I think they uplift. They actually they removed those they struck those from the ledger. They removed the JRE podcast the hell off of YouTube because it was a little bit too fly. And I think he made a big old sexy contract with Spotify, but it was kind of whack because the Spotify episodes they have like they have built in. I don't mean to be throwing shade at Joe Rogan, but I like there's a word in India for like watching rehashing the same book or lesson or teaching, or to rehash something over and over and get something each time you do it. That's a really doper thing. Like even like whatever. Like right now, I'm reading like this YouTube is posting something to me. It says, "Welcome to the live chat. Remember to guard your privacy and abide by our community guidelines." That's some real ass shit, man. All kidding aside, but if you were to read that like 5 times in a row, or every day for a month or a week, you could read that differently because you're now a different person for having read it. And each day that you come back to it, you're a different person. A lot of waters went the under the bridge. A lot has flown through your veins. A lot has occurred to you. A lot has changed about the price of tea in China since you would read something. So things change like that. But I would watch. There's one of the brilliant Joe Rogan podcasts was when the first time that he interviewed it's really actually kind of deep. He interviewed Jorge Masvidal. He interviewed Jorge Masvidal at the beginning of 2019 before the pandemic. One of the coolest things that happened in the entire world before the world stopped. You could say that what was the end of the world actually? What was the end of the world? Because right now you can say that we're living in a different like reality. Because like things are different. Like I'm more of a dipshit. I'm more of an asshole. I take a lot of things less serious, and I also think a lot of things can be done as I didn't think they could be done in the past. Like I'm now like practicing rock star moves, practicing music in public, this and that. I had pursued music for a long time, but it always felt like this out of sight thing. But after the time locked up, like I really got to see how fake shit is. Not fake as in not real, but just how arbitrary things are, and like a lot of things aren't real. If you can actually tell, if you can put the whole world on timeout, everybody you knew, your if my grandparents had still been like, everyone you know, every cool person, every smart person, everything, put their ass on timeout like that, offer something that bogus. That was just like wow, you know. So it kind of like it opened. Like I was at a biker. I was around some bikers that like contracting like looking at making inroads for a purchase that I was looking into last year. And on my way out, I had gotten more traction than it would a person would imagine walking into like a venue like a damn no kidding Harley dealer. But I had been getting better with like bantering and socializing, even with appearance and stuff like that. Appearance moves, stuff like that. It help you walk the hell in and out with the deal sometimes. But I walk around these bikers and stuff, and like you know, I'm actually having some success and traction. They're like, "Hey man, we wanted we think we think you're the real shit. You know, we looked at you on paper and stuff. You know, and we wanted to see. You know, we had something. We just wanted to see what you thought about. It ain't on all the way on. You think you're about to go up and away, but you actually for cool shit you go down. And so I got to know different people, or like different people on their team. And then like some of the people that you walk in the door, oh hey, what's your name? Oh, I heard you on the phone. Yeah, this and that. You found out that they're real important. They set you up with the lob, but they actually didn't. They're not the real shot caller. They're not the shot caller, but they kind of they set up with the lob, with alley oop or with the softball or just a I don't know what you call it, straight one down the middle, to do your thing. If you're actually having the chops in the background to be about something, but you need each person. You need the favors worth more than silver and gold. You need to be treating all people at all levels of any interaction appropriately anywhere, job, neighbor, the grocery store, anywhere. If you want to be having favor, which is worth more than silver and gold, worth more, but part of dates, invitations, bullshit. I'm not having saying that I'm winning all that shit all the time, but you got to be treating all people right. But when I was meeting them, I got on my way out. I got past some hurdles to be there, but then off of what was on the table when I was getting past them, and they're like, I don't mean passing like over on them, but just like when I was getting through that, and then the dude's like, "Hey, well, I gotta ask you a question." Like as I'm like having success, but I'm about to leave, go on my merry way. He's like, "Hey, do you think that the pandemic humbled people? The maestro, the man's man, the actual the plug of Harley, right? He's not even like he's just a nice guy, man. You know, this is really cool. But I want to make sure. Can you actually like sit on it for me? No, I just want to make sure you can sit on it, right? Because I know you got this in your style, this and that, I mean, your background, this and that. But I just want to make sure you can actually that you know that you're actually that this is a motorcycle, right? Because I just want to actually prove to myself. I think you probably think has this dude been on a bike before, as this dude would seem. But that was I'll just say I was able to figure out how that thing worked. I didn't speed, but the speed limit's higher in different parts of the country, and those things are so well built that you can get to feeling a way. You can get to feeling. I don't mean to be egregious as safety goes, but you can get to be feeling yourself on a Harley in not too long. If you grow up around bikes. But he's all about the cool shit. And, yeah, man. You know, it's really a lifestyle, man. You know, but it is some real shit. You know, but I would mention like when you first out, you know, what I'm saying, just you know, you don't gotta be doing all fancy stuff. Don't be trying to do this. Just keep it very basic. I want you to more so keep up the chops. You know, and you need you know you can there's different parts of the state. You know, but I would recommend like keep it around in your neck of the woods and stuff like that until you really get the chops like that. You know, and but you ain't gotta be nothing. You ain't gotta be. You know what I'm saying? It's all good, man. Yeah, man. But did you think that that the pandemic humbled people? he asked me that, and that was a deep thing he said, but it's kind of true. He said, what that makes you word that makes you laugh. I'll tap back on a word that makes me laugh. I want to talk about that. But so he was like so that was actually a deeper thing he said. Is like, wait, yeah, but do you think that things are actually like kind of different now? Like, are you actually this kind of person in front of me and us and you right now because of like how the world is like different now? Like, are we actually in a different reality that you would actually be you right here at a Harley Day, seeming like you, talking like you, but actually being and thinking? But a lot of things are real. You can't actually fake who you are, and you're a lot of things. And I can't really go my I can't I won't change the scope of this thing, but you could appreciate that something damn well changed about life since the pandemic, during it and after it. But then, if that was the case, you could say that the world stopped in one point. Like, there's a YouTuber I've referenced a couple of times named King Noble, and he talked about how your life, you as you knew you, your life, which is you, your life, it actually did completely upend, that is end with the pandemic, because how you can't be who you were, because who you were was part of the world that you were a part of, but also were. That world is now gone. That is that paradigm. That paradigm is gone. The world, what makes up the world, is not gone, because the world comes into and out of manifestation eternally. So nothing changes except change, but nothing also stays the same except change. But so things are will all that's inevitable, but it's like a uptick, or like a sublimation, for better or worse, that happened with the life on Earth, life upon the human life, but then also the life systems that the human beings, I think, are natural, have a prerogative and a proclivity to be stewards of, based on our proclivity to reason, which I think is based on our relationship and history around trees. It's a new paradigm, but also reality is a function of a paradigm, and a paradigm is like a function of reality. And life is not completely a paradigm, and nor is a paradigm completely reality, but it's significant. So we had an uptick or a downtick or a side tick or a transcend tick, some from, I don't mean to say tick as in medically, but we had, like, when you have like like you're right here and things have to keep at this pace like that. Everybody else got to run like this on the 2 and on the 4 right here, like at a case like that. Now we're up here. You got to be up here, or you don't cut it like that. That's an uptick or like a downtick or a side tick in the pandemic. So if the pandemic was that, if the world was over with the pandemic, you as you know you now is different, but also you as you knew you is different. That world, your world will end. This is 2019, March. I am letting you know on the JRE podcast that your world is gonna end. And that damn well happen. But so if that was the end of the world, right? What was the climax before the end of the world? What was the crescendo? What was the send off? What was the when I was a kid, my mom said I say grand finale instead of grand finale. When are we gonna have the grand finale? But when was the grand finale of you? What was the grand finale of your life? What was the grand finale of the time? The spirit of the times, the zeitgeist of the times. This is no don't speak too soon for the world, for no telling who that is in this gather around. I'm trying to like reference a great Bob Dylan track, but I don't have the chop on that one right off the top. But I would know if I heard it. But what was the meaning of your life? What was the meaning of your life now that your life was over? Because it did end, but you're still here and you're better. So what were these times that you were about? What were you? Where were you? Who were you when the world ended in 2019? What was the dopest thing that was going on for you? So even whether you had known about it or not, what was the dopest thing to exist before the tip off point that was the dawning of the end of the world, but also your life, man? What was the tip off thing? What it actually was who was the biggest gangster? Is the biggest gangster actually, is it like it was actually they actually attempted to settle the score between Biggie and Tupac in 2019, because I think Tupac was born on the East Coast, but he repped and he probably cut his teeth. Like, if you have enough of an experience somewhere, your ass is from there, because your ass wouldn't have made it. That like some certain things define you. Some things are like, I have like some people you can say prom, right? Like a lot of people, like we're all so much of adults, right? Everybody's such a damn adult. Everybody feels like such an adult voting. Everybody, we all grew up wanting to do the same stuff. We watch movies and they barely get on to do it in a damn movie, and then we probably saw some stuff at night. But what makes it so much of a damn adult and also so fly and so this blah blah? For a lot of people, it'd be prom. I imagine prom I imagine prom would be like one thing that define it's so much of an experience that it defined you. So where are you really from? I remember I watched on like the Fresh and Fit pop had, not to name drop them, but like Fresh and Fit, they're very specific about where's the motherfucker from on their show. Like they'll say what's your level of education? Oh man, like me if I were on there, oh man, so I've been like self-taught a lot, you know. I've been in school, I've been around school a long time. I'm still actually seated somewhere at a very at a viable venue to solidify my career as a student or to segue into a higher tier of a like professional or like graduate school like that. But I have about near about like somewhere between seven part neighborhood about 70 credits, something like that. So I never. That's one reason I can't stand like signing up for nothing title this and that because I actually don't know how to explain what the hell I am, a junior, senior, whatnot. But more so you sophomore. Okay, so high school education is what you got on paper. You completed high school. Okay, cool. That's how they talk about the SP. Oh, so where you at? Where you from? Oh man, so when I was a kid, I was in when I was a kid, so first I was so I'll tell the fresh and fit way to know where you're from and the real way to know where you're from. So with the fresh and fit way, it would be like they would say so you can be like yeah, so I was this and that, I was born here, I was born in St. Paul near the capital, but then that very night my parents went down the highway, and if I'm lying, someone standing right next to me tell me I'm wrong. My parents went down the highway on a snowy night. Our car broke the hell down because that's actually my luck in life, and it had been my luck the very day I was born and stuff like that. And it's colder than hell because it says Minnesota and live up to its name. And I was born in November, which is according to India, you actually have 6 seasons and not four, because you have like January and February, which is colder than hell, and that's actually your real winter. Then you have like November, December, which is like a lukewarm precursor, prelude to winter. Then you have March and April, which is like your like some kind of like early spring thing. Then you have May and June, which is actually the real spring. Then you have July and August, which is actually the real summer. Then you have August and no, October and September, which is the real actual fall, according to the Indian pedigree, as it's been transcribed and rendered in fine Oxford English by Sir John Woodroffe, writing under the pseudonym of Arthur Avalon as a pseudonym in homage to himself and also his inspirations and his peers. The great teaching and canon of India in terms of aesthetics and hermits and gurus and stuff like that. But yeah, but even as such, in when I had been born, which can be Thanksgiving, but it wasn't Thanksgiving that time. You're already into late winter, and it's the coldest state in the union now. Even though it's not as the same longitude as Alaska, it's still technically somehow the coldest state in the union, pound for pound, as far as I understand. I don't know if that's a geographical U.S. or the entire 50 states had been Minnesota like that. And it lived the hell up to its name. The first day I was, not the first day I was born, but the first day I was on my own devices. That's my parents' devices, whatever the hell, half-ass car. I think it was like a hatchback, like some kind of hatchback thing from the 80s. Near about is bad or worse than not even a Pinto, a hatchback Pinto. Yeah, our ship broke down on that. That had been my luck to the present day. While actually I'm in the vicinity right now making this damn video like that after I had already got past a Harley and shit like that in my own apartment and shit like that in the well-to-do area where I also had came back from school and shit. So it had started like that and shit. And then, but we were actually on our way over to Minneapolis because I had my ass born in St. Paul because back then my parents were well enough to know where the surgery doctors were. Even though that doctor was giving my dad a hard time because she was thinking that he somehow did this new thing called the AIDS, but he had another from the Africa, and even my mom he hadn't heard about that. His daddy, my mom hadn't even heard about that, and by the time he got to me, he lived out kind of way about that, and he always rehashed with that damn doctor. But somehow my parents like the St. Paul doctor side like that, a little bit more bougie, a little bit more well-to-do, old landed doctor folks, stuff like that. But we're getting our eyes back to Minneapolis, and I'm not saying nothing bad about Minnesota because I met me the baddest ones, I met me the prettiest one. I mean, you don't be playing around them. I don't know, actually don't know shit about St. Paul girls very much. Because I went, but the Minneapolis girl I know is you don't play around them. They can be little dating. Now they got some way to do things. Now the Minneapolis, you don't be messing up. They just don't be slipping up. Don't be slacking around the Minneapolis girl like that, but they're good to go pretty like that. But so Minneapolis good. So I've been there about 5 years, and I got another Albuquerque by the time before I even got in kindergarten. But first day of kindergarten, I had already been out of Albuquerque, didn't know where the hell I was. Albuquerque like that. It's good to go. Student family, this that. Big complex with nothing but student family like that. Got on the way past fifth grade, came back sixth grade to St. Paul. Like that. Been out there most of the time. St. Paul didn't never feel like home. I always daydream about New Mexico. I was looking out the southwest part of the window of the school and trying to get back to New Mexico and shit like that. And because reminiscing on them alternative vibes about they had certain things about how I just don't want to be here. I want to be back where my love is at, and something like that. Then I got on Tennessee in high. Oh, so you were in Tennessee in high school? Yeah, yeah. Because I was in mostly I was in St. Paul. St. Paul proper, what I'm saying, for most of high school. But sometimes I feel like the formative year of high school is about like 11th grade because it kind of broke down. Oh, so you was in St. Paul for most of your high school, but you also were in Tennessee for 11th grade. And you had barely got there before school started, and you were listening to SUV jams on your way to the south, expecting to meet some real red bones because you could feel what kind of time you were coming into. But your ass was also very shy in school. You met some pretty girls and stuff, but you're also more so like clicked up and hanging out with the girls because you don't want to get your ass kicked around all the sturdy dudes in the south, and you don't know how to like really blend in and shit like that. And then by some grace of God, you had some inroads with the black church in the north because you had been a summer counselor in between 10th and 11th grade, and you had an opportunity to go back, and also your daddy got a job back in the north, and you got a chance to get your ass out of town and hike it back up north. And your mom had made it good to go before you got back for 12th grade, and then you got your ass safely out of Tennessee before anything actually cool or real actually happened to you that whole time like that. Oh, so you're from St. Paul. But what they really appreciate you as being from is wherever you went to high school. Is that you're real formative, like where you came of age would be like in high school, where you really started to get your heart broken. You might have had some real trouble on your hands. You might have experienced too many parties, stuff like that. You got your first car like that, your first job like that, your first responsibility like that. When life really, when certain shit would really be cool, sky's the limit, but also some shit can really suck. Cause even like, your first job, this and that, you're mixing up the tuna and this and that. They got you gotta cut your teeth, man. You gotta get it how you live, get it out the mud, get it out the tuna, baby. Cause my first job had been the pizza, they got you on the tuna, baby. A lot of mayonnaise is all cold in your hands, then they got the salad in there, getting nasty like that. Cause tuna, every know tuna good for you, but that shit nasty where you know fixing it, and they got you on a tip big tuna, baby. And then that's after you do the dish now. And you have been folding the box before that. That's some rough shit, you get to show up to the damn, but you about to get paid like that. It ain't that bad, you about to get paid. But damn, how am I going to give up to these 3 hours, man? That shit rough. You seen all them pizza delivery drivers. They bake. You don't know how they do, but them baking is good to go with it. But you're not. So, but the way you really know who you are and where you're from is that you get your ass up on a motorcycle like that. So the actual, I'm not gonna say where I grew up at as a little kid, where I really learned to ride a bike. Now, I didn't feel like myself. I don't think I am or have been myself before and after and off of a motorcycle, because that motorcycle, it do something to you. You feel a type of way like that. You look a type of way, but you also feel like a way, and you are what you feel. So what you do to find out any question you want to know, right? You want to know oracle. If you want to speak to an oracle, get up on a Harley before you actually you're comfortable on a highway like that. Before you're comfortable, not even a highway, an actual intermediary to a highway, like a county road. That's it's technically a highway, but not a freeway. A highway, no, 45 maybe 55 miles an hour at the most. More so 45, 50, and it got a bridge like that where you can't cop out like that, right? Like say you're going across a bridge in St. Paul. Now you're at highway speed. You can't really cop out like that, and you're going fast. You're actually not dipping like that as other states have the highway like that. But you're dipping like that, right? Whatever comes to your mind, you're gonna have to tell yourself something to have confidence and to stabilize yourself to actually to so you had a certain amount of nuts to get on a heart to procure a Harley. For me, it was that you had enough of a need because I was trying to make money with like delivery, but you somehow messed around and got on a Harley. They had you sit on it to make sure that you know what a bike is, but now you actually are moving on the thing. And you can't cop out, but you need to have some belief in yourself, and you need to know who you are. You actually need to know who you are, feel like you know who you are to have the confidence, because you can't explain certain things. Some riding a motorcycle is actually mind over matter. That's why it's so important to. That's why it's such a big thing to have children ride bikes, because we have children ride bikes. It's normal, almost inevitable, and very part of the process of development for children to ride bikes. But bikes are almost as dangerous for children, nearly commensurate, relatively speaking, to scale as motorcycles are for adults. Because a bike is still a bike. It's very firm. You're on two wheels. You're moving. It can be very serious, even a small bike. But the reason that it's so significant is that you're learning confidence, but also you're experiencing mind over matter, because you can't really teach someone how to ride a bike. You can create and engender and encourage and inspire and provoke and prompt someone to ride a bike, but you can't actually ride it for them, and you couldn't explain it because life is changing, the earth is changing, time is changing at each moment. So there's no guaranteed way to how to ride a bike from a book. You have to feel it and do it. But that amounts to mind over matter. But you get up on a Harley like that, and you're like, whatever you're from, that neighborhood comes to your mind. That those people that are you, your earliest formative experience, that hood, for lack of a better word, come to your mind, and you're like, oh shit, that's where I'm actually from. So for me, it's that first neighborhood in Minneapolis where I came to, where my parents got. It's near the. I won't say it because that's a real hood. It's a real hood, but it's actually an African hood in Minneapolis, because it's not only African people there, but it's been a lot. Like back then, you could say I'm a like you where would you find it, like what are you, where would you find a person like you, where you would find a person like me is one is Minneapolis, as the Twin Cities, even back in the 80s, as diverse and as much opportunity for industry, but also education as it would be. And then also as that draws the statewide, national wide, and global wide talent and work. That any person that you would meet here, if you're from here and you meet somebody that wants to be here, you have your kindred of some kind, because your ancestors, but also you as a function of them, had a real interest in being here, viability and talent of some kind to get here and be here and want to be here. So you have a lot going for you, and it's a deeper connection that you would have to anyone that has any real interest in contribution in being here. But so you would find me, a person like me, exactly where the education would go, where a melting pot would go. Like my mother was European, but that's still immigrant to America and draws talent over a couple of iterations. My mother is very talented, and also you find me where you find my dad, which would be by the university, but also by the university neighborhood, which is close to an actual African community, and then he would be meeting people from Africa there that would become like my friends and family, for intensive purposes, my family growing up. Um, but that'll come to your mind if you get your ass like in something real enough, like a motorcycle. There's no business about I had been here, this and that, and I once did that, and I once wore that, and I knew some people from over here, and I went to high school, this and that. You just simply know things when you're on a motorcycle like that. And actually, when I was a child like that, I would always think about motorcycles as a kid. The motorcycles would really speak to me. I would say, Momo, Momo. I actually would. Momo's a real thing. Like sometimes if you read, I'll reference different YouTubers. There's a YouTuber named the Game Spitter. I think he's from the Carolinas, and he's from a real pedigree. I was gonna introduce with this. I was thinking that a better word than, according to Tariq Nasheed, in America, American Africans, that is what we know as African American. The word African American may be a political coinage and nearly almost synonymous and similar as a function, and on parity with the word, with actual race itself, the concept of race, because it's a political slogan, but also it started as a political slogan, but amounted to a social engineering tactic, ploy, and also delusion, fiat, the concept of African American. According to Dr. Umar Johnson, that had been Jesse Jackson responsible for that in the 80s, and that hadn't appeared or been popular in sway or maybe even existed before he would, like, if you can just imagine a slick, I'm not calling him a slick politician, because I think it was a real struggle for him, and he was part of the struggle, like with Dr. King and the civil rights. But if you can just imagine an actual politician, like sloganeer, so like a speech writer, something like that, say, oh, what about this one? This will get us some points in Georgia if we say this. I'm saying that's what they said about Georgia, but and I didn't mean to, my bad. I'm gonna walk out. So you got on a Harley, this and that. You went fast, this and that. You fell, this and that. You got some help to get up. Let's walk it back, buddy. We're not taking no shots at Georgia. Not joking. Not serious. Not nothing. No Georgia. Nothing. Georgia no pushover. Georgia's part of the struggle. Georgia's beautiful. Georgia got hard things. Georgia also got great musicians and artists. I want to walk that back for the record. Got nothing to say about nothing. I was recently seeing something. The reason that came to mind is because on Tariq Nasheed, someone was saying that now that the state of Georgia is actually a destination for well-to-do people, like from flocking from other states. Like they would used to say carpetbaggers, and not to be disrespectful, but like people relocating to the north from the south. But I don't know what the actual the jargon or the real designation for people migrating from like the west coast, like to places like Austin, like Texas. That you had some migration from like Louisiana west to like places where I grew from, like New Mexico around Hurricane Katrina. But then also you had immigration from California to the whole country abroad, including Minnesota, but also like the Southwest and the South, based on some of the economics and the politics of California that apparently weren't viable even for people that were well-to-do from that area. So I don't know what you would call someone that moves to the South from the West. It had been, I think, a carpetbagger back in the day. That's a very heavy derogatory slur, but it actually does constitute a certain lifestyle and designation of class of person that would move themselves to the South and be conspicuous for doing so, or maybe have questionable reasons or not, and be smooth doing that or not. So in high school, I was a damn carpetbagger, but not by choice because I was a child. But they were saying there had someone recently appeared on Tariq Nasheed radio and was an impetus to recruit people to Georgia so that they can flip the state for political purposes, from like a red to a from a I think from a red to a blue state, as the voting goes in like whatever electoral college votes they're entitled to as a state based on their numbers. So that's why that would have came to my mind, just to be transparent. But I think that African American was like it's part of sloganeering by Jesse Jackson. But according to Tariq Nasheed, also is that what's called the African American people, American African, foundational Black American, or just also that when you say found again, Black is similar to political sloganeering and former iterations of social engineering and like even baiting, race baiting. Even though the word race baiting is like not an oxymoron, but a double. I don't know if you say double entendre because race. The word concept of race is baiting itself. So when you say race baiting, that's like a I don't know what you call it, like a double oxymoron like that. It's not oxymoronic, but it's also it just each of those words are oxymoronic by themselves because they're fiat by themselves. Baiting and not baiting is not fake, but the amount they actually mean the same thing, but the same thing differently than they're intended when you say race baiting, such as to make it even more so compounding redundant. Um, but um, but I think that the word black is also like that. Is maybe a former black itself that used to be a caste designation, and it had to do with like voting and marginalizing and marshaling people into different socioeconomic stratas and opportunities and real living outcomes that were arbitrary and form fitted. But but African American can be arbitrary like that. But according to our targeting sheets, you have what people are reaching for when they say foundational American. Because if you say black foundational Black American, people that are of that spirit, of that cloth, of that experience, of that loving, of that fighting, of that cohesion, of that contingent of human beings. They can be of any hue of complexion, but they can be more so Native American leaning, more so European leaning, more so African leaning, more so Asian leaning, more so Creole leaning. Any combination, almost any human being conceivable, and any combination conceivable can be really of that people, of the story of that people, and of the lineage of that people, if you're honest. So even to say foundational Black American itself is a little bit redundant in fiat, according to Tashriq Bey, because that refers to not Americo Vespudo, but Morocco is what you're saying. That's like it's morphed into that from Morocco. So but that actually what it is a like a seat of the former interests of Morocco, according to Tashriq Bey, who was a descendant person from Trinidad and a descendant of that lineage. And I don't mean to speak for them, but just to say that that's actually how you're not knowing exactly what you're saying when you say American, neither when you say Black. When you say foundational, that's probably the that's still a little bit arbitrary too, because it's reasoned whether or not, or how much of the way that it's explained that they actually were able logistically to put that many people from Africa onto those slave those the atrocities of those slave ships, and really have that transit of the Atlantic. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but it may be different. But then also those people that you're referring to, there's more. They were existing here. It's appreciated before, during, and to present differently than it's appreciated than it appears in the textbooks after both the Board of Education in the beginning of the 19th century and the Reconstruction, which refers to reconstructed history, not only infrastructure, according to Tashri Bey. And some of the reconstruction of that infrastructure, according to Tashri Bey, is to actually hide the very relics and artifacts that would reveal and betray the true, unfalsifiable history based on the plot and the actual trajectory that the artifacts would attest if people knew that. And that's more of the function of your some of your museums, like these museums that have all these well-to-do, wealthy beyond wealthy, powerful beyond powerful people buying into, investing, and endowing to them. Is because of the power of maintaining the narrative. Narrative is the most. So you had a conflict, right? Like, say your family member, this and that, your loved one, your partner, this and that. Before things would go bad, when they go bad, or even if they do or don't go bad, and even as you're like, who does wear the pants in the relationship? Who is the dom? Who is the sub? That is who controls the narrative. And so that's why people have, there's damn near nothing more powerful than a narrative. Your great directors in Hollywood would tell you that, if they're being honest. There's damn near nothing more powerful and compelling than a narrative. Um, who do you know? What names do you know that can stand? We know great names, right, from the 20th century, right? Great artists, right? I more so look at like the homie 23 as the big homie, the original homie for Hoopers, one of the original homies for Hoopers. I look at him more of an artist. He's more reminiscent of an artist. And when I played sports, emulating him as a child, it was more so artistic, whether or not I was playing organized or not. And but even him as an artist, do you know many names that is in terms of power, like weight, that can hold that he probably does hold weight now. I'm not trying to compare apples to oranges, but the name Shakespeare has a certain name. Like Shakespeare, that sounds almost like near demi something. Shakespeare sounds like its own thing. It's not exactly a name. It's not exactly a person. It's just Shakespeare. It damn near sound Shakespeare is actually whatever we'll argue we'll argue like cats and dogs about anything, how theology, metaphysics, history, ethnicity. We'll argue about all that, how it came to be, what it really is, what's the real story, falsifiable, this and that. But Shakespeare is damn near realer than reality seeming. But he had been an artist, not more. I don't think he would have had to be more skilled than MJ, or more about it than MJ. But he's because he had narrative on his side. Same thing with like some of your great directors and stuff like that. They're great, the who's of the greats. If you had to put them all in a lineup, right? I'm not saying what we're gonna do with all these people that we got lined up, but we got them all in the lineup, right? Right there. Whether we're taking a picture of them, whether we're about to give them one of something. No, I don't mean to be agrees with that, but whatever we got them lined up for, the who's, whether for better or worse, for punishment or commendation, or the Hall of Fame, or the Hall of Shame, as some people say, infamy is worth as much, if not more, as fame. But even I don't even know someone more infamous. I don't know anyone more famous and infamous and famous and infamous to have more weight than Shakespeare. That name as itself. There's some. If you really know what's up, you would say like Lord Byron would be like that. I would actually, pound for pound, my money would actually be on Lord Byron. Like if you if you had like some, you had like the all the you have like a few of things, right? You actually don't have one of things. If you had all the true loves of your life, right? Like all the people that you really like, you knew what this life was. Something about that person, it spoke to you about what this life was about, or what your life was about at one point. Just what would they think of me? Will they be somewhere tomorrow? All of our ass got to go to school tomorrow, and this person's also the best student in class, and they never miss more than half a day for anything, and they always have the best grades in the world, and they're also always immaculate and spot on. Even though we have to go to school very early, but they're already like usually the first one there, and they're always there, and they're always perfect, and they're beautiful and lovely always. But will they be there tomorrow? How will I know if they'll be there tomorrow? Late at night, late at night when all the world is sleeping, I stay up and think of you. And I wish on a star that somewhere you are, not thinking of my associate too, who I talk to too, and he tells me that he talks to you, but he's not tripping off of you. But I am a little bit though, and I'm thinking of you. But you're probably not thinking of me because you're probably thinking of my associate them. That's my ass at one point. But everybody felt like that about some. I was in a coffee. I was writing music today. I heard the other side of it because there were some young people that are they're old enough to be at a coffee shop during daytime in the like on a school day, but they were talking something about crushes. I hadn't heard the other counterpart girls talk about crushes. I just know what it's like to be a boy getting killed by crushes my whole life. But they're talking about like, yeah, like when you're about to have a crush and you can't help that it's about to be like a crush, something like that, and you got a really bad crush now. They were saying something like that, these young people like that. So apparently these beautiful girls actually get crushes too. But I didn't know. I'm not just calling them beautiful. I'm saying, but currently the people you love that you had crushes on, they would have been having crushes too, but probably not on you. Or it's hard to imagine who they would actually have a crush on. These lovely people that we fall in love with our whole damn life. And I met one guy at a training venue when I was already grown, and he was like, "Yeah, man, that's a beautiful thing about life. You people always have crushes. Like whether you're just barely in preschool, or you're in high school, or you're an adult, or you got a job, or you're like out of you're retired, or you're in assisted living. You'll always be having crushes like that. That's a good thing. You can always count on having a crush and that shit going nowhere, and you get to have fun getting your heart crushed like that. You can always count on that." He was saying that, but if you had your real who's of all the people you had a crush on in your life, and you put them in like a small intimate size gathering, like say the size of a birthday party for like an elderly person, like all the friends and family that really actually rock with them and respect them and love them, and you put them in a room like that, whether you have drinks or not. But I think it'd be cool without drinks, maybe now with TC ganja legal. You got all them in there that you still feel way, but yeah, have at it, man. So like, why do we go to a high school reunion or anything? Because we want to have experience like that, right? But everybody at the high school reunion, they ain't been keeping up with themselves the way that you would have, the way that you remember them necessarily, right? But now you're at this place just like that, like a reunion, right? Like a small lounge type situation with whoever would or wouldn't show up, but also all the people you ever loved exactly did show up, and somehow they were taken care of and they of themselves, and they remind you of what you left them, where you left off is where they pick up as being beautiful to you and compelling to you, right? But who let the not who let the dogs out, who the dogs in, where the dogs in, man, who let the dogs, what's a body over here? It's a body over here, the dogs in there, what is it? Ain't nothing but a dog, man. Ain't nothing but little old Shakespeare had got through the nose somehow, you know what I'm saying? Little old Shakespeare up in the junk, little old Shakespeare up in the junk, you know what I'm saying? Shakespeare up in the junk. We got the players from the south, got the automatic, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You got the like, little Byron thing, you know what I'm saying? He might have made a little appearance up in the laws of the 48 laws of power and the seduction offshoot that was even as dope as the 48 laws of power. All them fools tripping about 48 power, this and that. Is the 48 power is the Bible for up. And I don't know. I'm going to see my mom, my foot in my mouth, my mother. I've been this time. I'm 715 videos strong, and I ain't stuck my foot too far the hell in my mouth. I can't get it back out but I will say they say that 48 is the Bible of certain society certain situation. But I'm saying the seduction one, that's the Bible for the people on the outside. Probably, I wouldn't be trying to do no seduction behind them, but on the good to go, you got Pastor O, what, man, the bailiff, you know, say, "Oh, we free as a bird, baby." But what happened, we still got to read your book, right? Because you like to read, right? I'm more on the seduction is on the outside. I like the seduction one, man. But your boy Byron, Byron, he appeared both in the 48 laws and the seduction, and he had been more than one killing. So you got Romeo get his ass killed. Yeah, he fall in love, but he ain't winning with love, right? He's winning with love, but he didn't get away with it. He didn't get to count the shit. It was the fool. Had one of him some poker one of the little old poker chips, little old
casino, you know what I'm saying? Got you cashing a little chip, make a little bank. Them boys bought a boy home in the old parking lot. This shit went bad, man. I'm just laughing because he lived that, but it's a lesson, man, because shit ain't all the way good to go. Cash money ain't always good to go. Gold is good to go if you got it tucked away somewhere and you don't even know what it is. But everybody see you with the cash, it don't quite buy what it's worth, and you don't quite get back when you sell it. But shit ain't good to go to have it on you. But they fought the boy home like that. But that's how they did your boy Romeo too, because your boy Romeo run Juliet. Oh, man, y'all fool think I'm lying, man. These fool think I'm lying about this shit, man. Because I said you don't know what the hell you looking at or reading unless you look at it all the time, right? You gotta read it. You gotta read something damn near 5, 10 times to know what the hell you looking at, or talking about, knowing about this and that. But how many people you know? How many people you know? Walk around with the little old bat thing like that. The guy, yeah, I got it to have price thing, the consignment there. I put him on my whole damn library there, but I said, oh, that's a cool one idea. I'm gonna take it around me because I like you try what you are, right? So I just go, I'll practice me to the shop, do. I just let the thing all sit like that. I just whatever I do in life, I just put it right there. I'm about to pay the die. I'm about to, if I don't have to set it down, some soft, like you put some jewels on some soft, you got some like a little bit of like velvet, little nice velvet. It ain't always gotta be purple. Purple is nice, I don't know. But it ain't always gotta be purple to be velvet, you know what I'm saying? And things are a little bit nicer when you place them a certain way and you got the setting, the ambience. You meet in broad society, the damn venue cafe, make your own little ambience, you play a little music thing like that. But I got me a little old velvet like that, right there, like that. You know what I'm saying? And then so I was telling her, I was at maybe at the cafe, and old girl had a green hair like that. She had green hair. They were showing up. She had green hair right there at the register. I walked in, didn't much say hi, but she said, "What the hell you want up in here, boy?" And she didn't call me boy. She said, "What the hell you want?" Just like that. And I said, "Damn, you got a straight voice." You know, I said hi to you, man, but I just want to know what you do because it's my damn job, man. I just got to do this shit so I can clean this shit, get that hair better, man, because I like it. I like that job, but I don't love you. You know what I'm saying? But I said, he had a green hair, man. I said, but you ain't on the green down like that. But I did walk in like that, and I said, hey, man, we should, you get to be able to partner because similar interest and opportunity, not so much because you get to like it. I know you don't like me like that, but you do got the green there like that. And I said, all right, you right there. I be looking most like Mr. Sam, you look like Mrs. But they didn't know that both of us had been on the green down, like the green down. So it's Mr. and Mrs. Said that. No, Mr. and Mrs. Grinch. Mr. and the Grinch, but them ain't all. It's just not Mr. and Mrs. It's just Grinch and Grinch. The Grinches. We been had been the Grinches. But so I rock it like that. I really rock it like that. But you ain't always got to even rock it on top of your head. You just put it right there on a table like that when you about to practice the top to bottom, just read it, do anything you want, and then you place something so nice on top of it. You place a little old something like that, little VHS. People ask don't even for it, don't know what the hell find a VHS. I don't even know if VHS still exists. What the hell? And then you see all get crinkled like that. I thought this better thing that's stuck in the guitar. Do you got someone? So if VHS is out of date and the VHS gets set out of tape, but it's still expensive. So do you know someone sturdy enough that know how to fix VHS cassettes and VHSs when that shit had got jangled, mangled, jangled, dilapidated, misconstrued, discombobulated, ejected but not rejected. Because I had been ejected but not rejected. Because I had the truth in me, but I was blind and didn't understand my plight and all the pictures of my mind. And because it had been like the pictography, but it used to be on a little toy like that, but then they had made the movie, but it still had been a movie in my mind because your life is your own movie. And I had a picture of so much beauty in my mind. And I just want to tell them what I have in my mind all the time. You know what I'm saying? Because I would like to do it. Can't do nothing to do that science shit, especially with the art, but I get ran up out of somewhere. So I try to be more creative. But it's a long road. It's hard to become creative like that. But it had been a picture in my mind. But sometimes they get me all messed up out the pocket, out the way, and I get mangled, jangled like that because I had the vision. But they didn't see my vision and the parameters and the restrictions and the preconception of the apparatus to display, even to capture, but more so to display what had been in my mind and on it had also been outdated because in my mind it's fresh at time, but I had been perceived as being outdated. And also what was I was trying to express to them, their entire system was more so outdated, like the very VHS player. So it got all jangled. But do you know someone who could actually fix the damn things? I don't. But I do walk. I walk around with the Romeo and Juliet thing like that. You know what I'm saying? And then I read it every time I before when I sit down somewhere. I read it 2 times before I leave. I read it 2 times because it might be the first last thing. Heaven forbid, we still 225 whether we watch these things or not. But it had been like that. Romeo and Juliet, just like that. You are what you attract. You attract what you are, but you can also choose what you would like to be. And that's why I would like to. I would like to, find out what that what love about. You did have the West Side Story and Romeo and Juliet and different things like that. I don't know if they had a copy one another, but it's like that. So I just sit it on the little just sit on a little velvet like that, and I just like attracts like. I'm not saying call anyone lichen, because I think that's like a fungus, but like attract. They say I actually met a study person that said all of this life is actually fungus in the first place, not bacteria, not plant, not virus, but had been fungus before all that. Lichen. So lichen attracts lichen. So I'm just trying to give me the Romeo and Juliet one, but they damn near did your boy Romeo like some fool coming back from the casino because it looked at me like he got old girl heart. He got. I ain't never. So whoever you felt love, like the type of time I was talking about, fell in love. I don't know if you ever had them hand up like that. Your boy had her. She looked hand up to me. The only thing worse than someone could do to you, you do to yourself. The boy had the girl up like that. But you also he looked like a goner. I mean, the boy looked like a goner. So he got it right where he wanted. He got in a jujitsu, romantic jujitsu melee. More so. I don't know what you call that one in jujitsu, but she got her neck exposed. Like I don't know what you call rear naked, but he's in front of her. He ain't got a neck, but it looks like some form of a choke. Like that, she damn near about to choke. Anybody got? I don't know what you call like the actual. He got the girl old. The girl hard hemmed up. You know what I'm saying? But the boy going like that. So it's almost like them fool that had got the money at the casino. They got fall home. They got the gab. They get the counting. He got old girl hard, but he didn't get the counting. There's only one, right? Maybe the greatest number is his number. One is the loneliest number from how many of them? How many you want, man? You got old girl. Yeah. I'm not saying she ain't the beautiful, but when you in love, everything is beautiful when you love. So to him, she would be the beautiful, but also she would be beautiful then beautiful when she's in love with him. So one is the loneliest number since two ain't here. No, I don't mean to be because everybody come from Romeo and Juliet. Romeo and Juliet is where we come from, but yeah, man. But it looked like I'm not saying you got to do something. If you did it right the first time, you ain't got to do it like a thousand. You don't got to be a millennial. I'm a millennial on paper, but you ain't got to be a millennial out here just to get it done something appropriate. So one had been the loneliest. One had been the loneliest number since the one, but also the greatest number since the number one. And he got one of them right there. He got him one right there. You know what I'm saying? He got a hand up. He got that. That looked like some kind of a victory as romance go. But he didn't get to count his number. He didn't get to count his one like that. But your boy Byron did though. If you know what Byron's about, so your boy Casanova, he was bogus because I think Casanova he was like Casanova was more so of like a sugar daddy. If you know, like Casanova, his name hold weight too. Not the type of Shakespeare time like that. Casanova ain't like that. Not even like quite Romeo time. Like man, Casanova, he's smooth with it, and so it ain't gotta be too fancy. You ain't gotta put the moves down like that. If you just got what people want, a lot of people want what Casanova had. Not only the bank, but just like to be believable with the bank because it's not only what you have and don't have, but it's also what it took to get it and what it makes you to maintain it and also to be like that and think like that and how you see yourself and be yourself like that. So just because Casanova be having banking and resources don't mean that he wasn't actually smooth and really like a lady killer, lady lover at the same time. And I don't mean hurt nobody, but I just mean breaking hearts and like laughing about it and doing it again if need be, if opportunity presents, have been Casanova like that. But your boy, but Casanova knew he about to go to hell, and Don Juan too. I think Don Juan wasn't as much on the livelihood side, but Don Juan he was smooth, but he be playing games with him, playing games the whole time. Man, he go to he knew where he was going, and that might be one of the first ones you see when you go to hell, because
He was like, damn, they might have to do some M&A. You're gonna have to square off with Don Juan. Because the boy took your girl now. He took your girl now. What you got to say about it? There you go, right there, man. He on them codes too, but we all on the codes, man. After a while, you get used to being on the codes and shit. But he still did you one like that. Your boy Don Juan did that. But I don't know that much about Lord Byron because they call him a lord. I don't know. Can a lord go to hell? I'm not. I'm not saying like street lifestyles. I'm not joking about like the organizations that would call themselves Lord, or even like the greatest in this life that is a Lord. But you know, the what you call it, our Lord and Savior, or the Lord of Hosts and things like that. But I don't know if Lord Byron can go to hell because he's some form of a Lord. So if he was in hell, he would still be Lord Byron in hell. Don Juan is Juan's ass got his ass to hell, he's stuck in hell. Casanova, I don't know. He might be more so purgatory because yeah, he was messing up, but he just got it how he lived, and he just gave them what they want. They just want what they want, so they can between their karma, the old girl heart he broke, but he didn't actually have to all the way break her heart. He was just showing her a good time like that, and they can do it again if it need be. Casanova like that, more so purgatory side. Casanova, Don Juan, your boy bogus because he wasn't all the way congruent or having the right intentions and presenting himself one way and flip the script on somebody else, but maybe he got the flip script too. But it still might be fun to be any one of them. And then there was one dude like Richie Lou, more so like kind of like I think that's a fictitious person, but might be like your he was in the seduction book. He might have been more like some combination of Casanova and Don Juan. But your boy Lord Byron, he's the Lord of Byrons. If anybody you ever known named Byron, I knew some sturdy people. If you just imagine someone named Byron, sound like somebody that could cause a problem. It had been a problem. Someone named Byron, but he's the one of the Byrons that had been named Lord Byron. So he probably, even if he were in hell, Don Juan in hell, Lord Byron in hell is still called Lord Byron. So he might be able to look after himself there. But you have this get together, all the people you ever fell in love with that you really felt a way about right there, and you get to be yourself. All the improvements you made, all the cool things you do, the Harley you got past, this and that, the story, this and that, the chops of this and that. But also there go somebody who let the dogs in. They let your boy Lord Byron in there. I'm saying at the who's that could be a problem in a setting like that. Shakespeare name up there with the greatest of them. If I'm honest, Spielberg's name in there because all even damn near Spielberg might actually take the near about first place because y'all did all that shit, man. But what is y'all stories worth if Spielberg didn't show somebody your story about it? Back in the day, it had been writing. Shakespeare got it done, but nowadays you could almost say Spielberg's the Shakespeare of nowadays because Shakespeare get the story across like only Shakespeare. I mean, Spielberg get the story part across like only Shakespeare could do back in the day with the writing. But you have all them names like that, but there would be a problem. But Lord Byron would be up there too. Um, but I a little bit digressed with that one. I really did went way off with that one. Um, but what I was trying to say is that but I think that a better word than African American would be Majora because according to Tariq Nasheed, the spirit that is that animates anyone who's known and loved or feared and fought, people who are called or respected and admired and emulated or competed with, um, uh, uh, um, people who are African American, American African, or of that line and cloth and lineage, that name of that spirit, that experience, so it's an ethnogenesis is that the circumstances and the commingling and the people themselves, and also what was brought out of them by the plight and the suffering and the turmoil and the surviving and the victory and the testimony and the glory, all that. You can summarize that in one word is Majora. That's what that's called. So that might be a better name for the people is Majora, and that doesn't really stop with any genetic or even to some degrees cultural limitations. It's really the spirit, the real people in the first, second, and last place. So that'd be probably a better word. I'll enter that for the record. A better word than African American, American African, um, even foundational Black American is the word because I think American corrupts that and Black corrupts that even though it's in the geographical region of what's called America. I think a better word for the people and people who love those people are would like to who really love those people. Anyone who feels a way about the Black American experience whether Black American or they feel enough away about it as to really be a part of it in body and or spirit, you would call that Majora. It figures according to what some of the things that have been landed by Tariq Nasheed, just Majora, the Majora people, or just not even people, just Majora. But um, um, but I had when I peer, but I was saying that. But if you wanted to know the foundation, but anything that has, but if you wanted to know what makes people do the things that they do, both creatively, artistically, in terms of making love, even them very bad guy culprits, uh, um, uh, Lord Byron, Don Juan, Casanova, um, Romeo and Juliet, to some degree. Richelieu, the figure in the 48 Laws of Power. Um, the only one that's badder than all those ones combined, who is a real person, the only who is all those people combined, as the mind goes, because mind's power, mind over matter. The mind's the strongest thing. Um, Recently, someone made something really said really dope. I'm not trying to name drop with this one either, but to give credit where it's due, Jake Paul was in Jake Paul was in was on a interview about a fight he's about to get into with a real boxer, and that, and not to say real. There I go. That's like a slip right there to say that Jake Paul wouldn't be a boxer, because that's part of his plight. Everyone has a plight in this life, and one of Jake Paul's plight is that he's actually very talented, works very hard, but he's not recognized as a boxer because it's hard to get past the shadow of his own prior success. A lot of people can't get past the shadow of their parents' success, or maybe like family member or even friend success sometimes, or talent, or like force of person, wit, strength, uh, brilliance. But it's hard when you can't get past your own former iteration of brilliance. That's a deeper play, because a lot, like even like the way I appear now, and like the way I present myself, but also think, act, and be, and suffer, and seldom sometimes win and enjoy, it's differently than how I've been at other. I think I've always been who I am, but it's been different than other times. And I just a little bit. I remember I was trying to say that that person Game Spitter would say Momo, and I think that was a real thing. That's a real thing from the Majora culture, to call motorcycles Momo. That's going way back. That's like prior to the '80s, and because I'd be saying Momo in the '80s, but I don't think I made that up. I had like a family friend that was like from they were from he was Majora. My best friend, my very, so in this life, my first best friends were my neighbors in that neighborhood I'm talking about. Like before my first memories in life and all the pictures that go with it were my friends P and L, a boy P and a girl L, and their dad who was a biker. He was actually I grew up in the household. I grew up next door to, and also best friends with peers, toddler and young child peers. I would probably be about like no more than, but since I've been at least two or three, my best friends who would have been 3, 4, and 5, their father was a biker, but he was a black biker. And he would have been calling, he took us around on them, and I would say, Momo, Momo. So I probably got that from him, Momo. And I probably got awestruck by motorcycles exactly because of him, because I grew up next to a damn biker. Would that not make an impression on a child to have some? It's kind of strange, as I can sometimes see a little bit of myself in him now that I look back at that. Not that I was having that swag like him, but I can see some of my interest in my what's fun to me based on who that man was. And he was cool. He was really hella cool around us, but he had like his struggles too. But he I grew up just thinking that motorcycle, whatever people would be calling God, I thought that's what motorcycles were, because they spoke to me as like really deep, like cool dad. Whatever you think of when you hear the word cool daddy, that's what motorcycles sounded like to me. And I wouldn't be thinking about my own pops as cool daddy, but I'd be thinking about motorcycles as that. But even though my dad is cool daddy and was then, otherwise my ass wouldn't be knowing what that sounds like. But uh, but was better than all that. Even that bikers talk included was better than all that. Because Jake Paul, he was saying that he was in an interview, face off, and he said, "Man, self determination is the realest shit. Like mind over matter, mind power, will, self determination is the realest shit." He just said it without batting an eye or skipping a beat, and that's about one of the dopest things I've heard online. The way he said that, not just that someone would say that, because anything is anything until it's real, but also until someone knows what they're saying. So anyone can say have a nice day, y'all be safe now, but unless they really know what they mean that and they love you too, or they're congruent, it's way different. It hits way different when people mean that and have the life that go with that. So when he said that, yeah, no, actually, mind. We're making our life like that. We're making our reality and our experience like that. That's something dope that he said. But I can actually relate with that's like not on the same par, but like for to get past people's past understanding of you, but even a little bit your understanding of you as you're influenced by others, or you haven't understood yourself, or you hadn't matured to the development that you are now. That's incredible of a plight, because he was saying, yeah, man, I have all this that going on for me, but fuck it, I'm about the legacy now. And I know he was, when he says what he has going on, I know he really does, because some of his mannerisms, Jake Paul, when he's talking, it reminds me of my landlord, like the former landlord that took care of the property where I'm at, that he inherited from his family. He was killing life. He wasn't impressed by success. He wasn't impressed by wealth. He wasn't impressed by anything but really just work and treating people well, because he worked really hard. But he had really success, man. He had like all these like well-to-do people, young people, sexy people. I mean, like sexy adults and stuff like that. All these people, they'd be on their best behavior. Oh, hey, boss. Oh, hey, da, 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 da. He had people kissing his ass his whole life, and he had the people paying his ass the whole time. And he was making sure people have somewhere to be when it's cold and shit, and at night and shit, and to do cool shit and shit, and to live life and shit. And he had some of them same mannerisms as Jake Paul. So I know Jake Paul really actually is killing shit just by his very mannerisms. But then to have that much going for you, but you still have something that haunts you, that chases you, that gets you to wake up as early as he damn well likely gets up for his fights. Not only just a fight on your hand, but even to accept the fight and be after that dangerous shit, you have to have something that really move you and inspire you, impress you, and chase you and haunt you and all at once. And taunt you and entice you and promise you and love you, and it's real shit. Like how it wouldn't seem real, but it's actually some real shit. But he um um but even but what's deeper than all that, the only person that has that laid a finger that actually the only person who really can really if Jake Paul feels that way about what the mind is and isn't, but also what it is and really can be, which is it, the most incredible thing that he knows of as somebody that's one on the levels that he has of life, like socially, in terms of rapport and esteem like that, when it suits him, and like sexy cool shit, rock star shit, rich shit, rich kid shit, rich guy shit. The only one who really that I've ever known heard that can really speak to what the mind is and isn't, what 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 fiat is and isn't, like other than Tashik Bey in the strict literal sense, would be Osho. He's a Rajneesh something was his real name, but he was an order named Osho. He was like an iconoclast, avant-garde, renegade professor in India, because India is a seat of learning and deep learning and pedigree par excellence. India, um, but then also he was a original thinker that is a Muni himself, and he was possessed of something called Saraswati, according to his protege what was her name, I can't think of her name. She has like an English sounding name. But there's a woman who a lot of times you can be very brilliant, but you don't get all the way up to really being all that you can be until a woman had backed you. And I think he met her when she was very young. Her father respected him, and he somehow facilitated her meeting him. But she was impressed with this man Osho as her father was. I think she was an adult, but she got behind him. She put her whole life behind him, and she actually was in